Well, good morning, YouTube. I know the light's terrible. Hold on a minute. All right, guys, it's a little bit after 2:30 in the morning, and I got to roll. We're heading down to Florida, to Fort Walton Beach. Trying to be somewhat quiet, not to wake everybody up. It's kind of hard to do with a diesel truck, but we got issues, and that's why we're going there. All right, guys, before I head to Florida, I gotta grab a couple of things. All right, guys, so you may be asking, why am I loading my bike into the trailer to go to Florida? Well, I might be there a couple of days, and when I'm there, I won't have access to my truck. Now, my plan was to be in Fort Walton Beach by 8 a.m. Central Time. It is 3:30 a.m. East Coast time as we speak. I'm running way behind. It's not going to happen. So at this point, I'm not even going to try. That sucks. I was going to pull in here to get some coffee. The gas station's not even open yet. Alright, guys, I hit the hot spot up the street. Looks like they're open. I'm going to go inside here, get some coffee, and then we'll tell you why we're going to Florida and how now, since between the last recording and this recording, why I don't think we're going to make it. All right, guys, I got me some coffee. Here's the situation. Those of you that have been around for a while might notice driving the Dooley. You haven't seen the Dooley on the channel in a while. That is mostly because back in November, I started to have trouble with the transmission. We were coming home from Atlanta, and I went to go pass a car, and I got into the throttle pretty good, and it like free revved and then banged, and then like didn't want to go, let off the throttle, got out of it for a little bit, and then it was fine. We made it home, but it was never right since. I bought this 2006 Dooley with a 6.0 Power Stroke in it back in 2018. And I noticed just shortly after purchasing it that there was a problem with the transmission. So every once in a while, if I had done some hard braking to slow the truck down and then immediately let off the brake and got back onto the throttle, it would do this free rev and bang thing. Now, in the 3 years that I've been driving the truck, it only did it a couple of times. And other than that, it drove beautifully. We've towed heavy with it. We've towed all across the country with it, and it has never been an issue, except for those 3 or 4 times maybe, that perfect situation where that would happen. And in every case, once I let back off of the throttle, things would re-engage properly, and then I could gently get back in the throttle and go on down the road with no noticeable difference. Back in November when it did it in Atlanta, it never went back to normal after it happened. After that one incident is when I started noticing that the torque converter didn't want to stay locked up. So normally in overdrive, the converter's fully locked. You can let on and off of the throttle and it would just accelerate and decelerate like normal. But after that incident, if I let off the throttle and then went to get back into the throttle, it would free rev for quite a ways before the torque converter would fully engage, and it would run at a higher RPM going down the interstate. Now, we made it all the way back home from Atlanta without any issues other than just not being right, but it drove all the way home. We stopped at one point and realized that when we were trying to back out of a parking spot, I had no reverse. Now, those of you who've been around for a while, you guys remember when I went up to John Story's Truck Parts to try to swap out the rear ends for the Kenworth? I took the Dooley. It was having the problem then. I made it all the way to Knoxville and back without a problem. And on that trip, I realized that I lost park. When I got to his place, it's very hilly. I put it in park, went to get out of the truck, and it started rolling down the hill. So I had to find a more level spot to park and use the emergency brake, which was very inconvenient. So no reverse, no park, but all of the forward gears were still working. The converter lockup just wasn't great in overdrive. And that video was the last time that you guys ever saw the Dooley in any of my videos. Yeah, I didn't like the way I said that, but because at that point, I just decided to go ahead and park the truck and not keep driving it until I could make arrangements to get the transmission rebuilt the way that I wanted it done. Now, to make a long story longer, Ford has been known to have some problematic transmissions. The 4R100, this is a 5R110, all had their issues. Now, years ago, I had the transmission go bad in the Excursion. Also, this back in 2014. We were out in South Dakota when it happened. I lost reverse, but we were able to tow our trailer all the way back home from South Dakota, back home to North Carolina, without any issues. Once we got up to speed, everything was fine. In that particular case, it was flaring a little bit on the 2-3 shift, but once it got up to speed, the torque converter was locked in, it towed just fine. So at the time, our trailer was about 16,000 pounds. We made it all the way back to North Carolina. We just made sure not to pull in any place where we had to back up to get out because I had no reverse. Now, when that happened, I decided to take the truck to Fort Walton Beach to Suncoast Converters to get the transmission repaired. I will explain a little bit later on why I chose them, I should say, but not right now because I don't want to make this any more winded than possible. But basically, I had no reverse in the Excursion, but I still had forward gears. I made it all the way from South Dakota. I figured there's no reason I couldn't make it to Florida, so I drove the truck to Florida and had them put the transmission in it. And this is exactly what I was planning on doing this time. However, between this cup of coffee and that closed gas station that you guys just saw, the truck stopped shifting. So now I can only go 15 mile an hour in second gear, and if it goes down the hill and starts to pick up speed, it just revs and revs and revs. Converter won't lock up. And I'm not gonna risk trying to drive it to Florida that way. It just doesn't make any sense. So I'm probably gonna go ahead and milk it back home. I'm only about 10 miles from the house. I didn't make it very far, but right now it's only 4:30 in the morning. There's not a lot of traffic out here. There's a little bit, but not a lot. Should probably do it now before it gets late. And then I'll have to make other arrangements to get the truck down to Fort Walton Beach, the Suncoast converters. All right, guys, so I left the gas station. I'm heading home. And it shifted. It's in overdrive, doing 50 mile an hour. But watch here, I'm coming down the hill and we're coming into the 45 zone. So I'll slow it down. Watch the speedometer though. See, the truck goes all the way back to idle, when normally it doesn't. When I give it throttle, see how high it revs before it engages? But at least right now it's engaging and I'm able to get it back to the house. I just don't know whether I should trust it to go 500 something miles to try to get down to Fort Walton Beach. Mostly because it's all interstate, and if that situation happens again and I'm on the interstate, at that point I'm going to go about 15 mile an hour. And even still, we got some 2-lane country roads back here that happens on. I'll be holding everybody up, and I just don't want to be that guy. All right, guys, I gotta admit, I'm a little bit baffled. So, other than that little bit of a converter flare that I was showing you when I let on and off the throttle, it drove fine all the way back here. As you can see, back at the yard, Goliath is right there. I don't know, part of me wants to just go ahead and try it again. And I did forget to mention this. On the way back from John Story's place in November, it did this same thing. And on the way here from that gas station, I realized that I was driving through the same exact section of town when it happened. I don't know if that's related or not. I think there could maybe be some kind of crazy magnetic field there or something that's causing one of the servos not to act right because maybe the transmission's already compromised. I don't know, but it drove fine all the way here. So my options are try this again. I'm way behind schedule, but I can try this again, get back in the truck, drive to Florida. Or I can just leave the truck here. I can call Joe in the morning, ask him if I can borrow one of the goosenecks and tow it to Florida. Just don't know what to do. Alright guys, this may end up being a really bad decision, but I'm on my way back out again. I don't know, something just, if anything, learning experience. I look at it like this: the worst that can really happen is I waste some of my time, but the sooner I get this truck there, the better it is to get it done. We'll see. Can I make it through that same spot in town? I think it's a little freaky if I get to the same place and it does it again. Look here, guys, I'm accelerating. The truck is driving just fine. Shifts are exactly the way they should be. Converter staying locked up nice. Guys, right through here is where it gave me problems last time as I was passing the Tractor Supply. So far so good. Alright guys, and there is the Hot Spot gas station where we were having our conversation just about half an hour ago. So I made it through town without any issues, so our theory of magnetic field probably is shot. No ghosts or evil spirits did it, I don't think. However, something did occur to me that could be a possibility. Just before the problem happened, I had actually set the cruise control once I got to 55 mile an hour coming through there. And then once the truck crested a hill, obviously the computer let off the throttle to maintain speed. The torque converter disengaged and the engine RPM went all the way down to idle. And I'm willing to bet that that's what caused the problem. Because with me driving right now, it's all manual input. When you set the cruise control, the computer is trying to do it. So when the computer registered a travel speed of 55 mile an hour, but the engine was at idle, it probably didn't know what to do. And it tried to make it start over in first or second gear, but the truck was going too fast to engage in first or second gear. So the computer just spazzed out. Now, what I had done then is come to a stop and then started driving again. And it would only go through first and second, and then it would just rev out in second. This time I didn't use the cruise control, and I don't think I'm going to. We'll see how that works. Alright guys, I forgot to turn the camera on as I crossed the Georgia state line, but we are on Spur 60 coming into Mineral Bluff here in just a few. Alright guys, I am back here at the racetrack in Jasper, Georgia. That's right, the same place you saw me just barely over 12 hours ago. I stopped here to get fuel. Did you guys see how close I got to that truck? I did not mean to get that close. I didn't actually touch it, but literally just a millimeter or so between that and me. So guys, as you can see, the fuel here is only $4.99. If you saw when we were at the hot spot earlier, it was like $5.39 or something there. No, $5.89. It was $5.89 there. So a big difference between the two. And at the yard where I parked the equipment, the gas station there had it for like $6.18 when we pulled in yesterday. So right now, Georgia's about the cheapest place to get fuel, I think, because they have suspended their road tax for the moment. So I figured just stop here. It's a good place to use the restroom. It's also a great place to get coffee, and I can get cheap fuel. It just made sense. All right, guys, so Jasper, Georgia is just about 100 miles from the house, at least to this gas station. And the truck has been doing great. I have found that if I crest the hill and I need to let off the throttle just a little bit, I can keep that torque converter engaged. But if you let off too much, it will completely disengage and go to idle. And if I'm gentle enough going back into it, I can get the converter to engage without hitting the converter really hard. So I'm just gonna baby it and drive it as easy as I can until I get it to Fort Walton Beach. Now I've had it up to about 75 and it seems to be doing fine. I think it might be running just a slightly higher RPM than normal. So worst case scenario, may not get quite as good a fuel economy here, but if I make it all the way, it's cheaper than a tow. All right guys, I got my coffee. I'm a little disappointed in myself. I always have my Yeti cup with me for coffee. And for some reason, I walked out of the house this morning without it. So I gotta use these disposable cups. Just terrible. All right, before we get back on the road, check, make sure the bike is all good, tied down. All right, looks like that's all good. And before anybody makes a comment about my bike being a trailer queen, remember that it gets towed to the rallies in a trailer because I have to drive Goliath. In this time, it's because the truck is what needs to go to Florida, not the bike. The bike I'm taking just so I got something to ride when I'm down there. I don't trailer my bike places to ride. If I'm gonna go ride my motorcycle somewhere, I ride my motorcycle to get to where I'm gonna ride my motorcycle. And then I ride my motorcycle. And then when I'm done, I ride my motorcycle back home. All right, guys, now it is 6:45. I am so far behind schedule, it's not even funny. They said I wanted to be there at 8 o'clock Central Time, which would be 9 o'clock our time. So I got like 2 hours and 15 minutes, but it's not gonna happen. There's no way it's gonna happen. And part of that is because when we got home yesterday, this truck hadn't been run in months. I went to go start it and the batteries were completely dead. I mean, no power whatsoever. So it took a while to get them charged up enough to get it to start. Ended up having to jump them off of the Excursion for a little bit first. And then when I went to go hook up the trailer, apparently the kids had used the trailer while I was gone, and there was a tarp on the trailer that was like folded up around the corners. And because we had rain, it was holding water. So it was like having a swimming pool on my trailer. So by the time I got all that drained off and got that tarp pulled out of the way, and then drug the trailer out. Trailer plug's missing on the trailer too, by the way. Don't know what happened to it. It was there. I know it was. It's not now. So I'm actually running without trailer lights. Don't tell the popo. Luckily on this truck, in this trailer, you can see the taillights of the truck clear as day, so it shouldn't be a problem. So my original plan was to get to bed at a decent time last night and then get up at midnight and drive to Florida. Well, because it took so much longer to do all that, plus I did spend some time with the family, I got to see my children, I got to see the grandchildren, and all that was great. By the time I got all that done, showered, shaved, and actually laid my head down to sleep, it was about 10:30, 10:45 last night. So getting back up at midnight to run to Florida, I knew it wasn't going to be enough time. So I decided to set my alarm for 2 instead, and I actually got up around 2:30. And then of course, well, you guys have seen all the delays we've had this morning, so nothing has gone to schedule. I can't make it on time. I'm not going to try. Right now, the big goal is to make it through Atlanta before the traffic gets bad. And you know what? That's probably not going to happen either, because it's 6:45 and I'm still an hour from Atlanta. All right, guys, so one more thing that I forgot to mention is that with the torque converter not staying engaged properly, when I let off the throttle, I mentioned that it does return to idle, but the fact that it's not staying engaged and going to idle means that I'm losing all engine braking whatsoever. I have 0 engine braking Luckily, it's not really that big of a deal. The brakes on the truck are pretty good. The load we're towing is extremely light compared to what a dually normally tows. I mean, I pretty much forget that the motorcycle and the trailer are back there, and we're not in the mountains anymore, so I don't think that's going to be a big issue, but I just thought I'd mention it as one of the other complications of what's going on with this transmission. Well, guys, as you can see, we made it through the Atlanta area with little to no issues. Traffic was not half bad at all. I mean, there was plenty of cars, but no real slowdown, so I'm thankful for that. So anyways, we still got a ways to go. I'll keep you posted if anything exciting happens, but until then, I'm just going to crank up the radio and try to keep myself awake. Well, guys, it is 8 a.m. and I just heard on the radio, right moments after I had just told you that the traffic wasn't that bad getting through Atlanta, that I guess there's some huge backups where I just went through. So I'm really glad I got through there when I did. You know, and that is the one good thing about driving through Atlanta, is they do have a fantastic classic rock station, 97.1 The River. It got some really, really good music. Speaking of which, Fleetwood Mac is playing, so I'm gonna get back to it. Alright guys, I just had to stop and use the restroom for a moment, and I tell you what, this rest area here, it's the Alabama Welcome Center, is absolutely beautiful. Looks like it's brand new asphalt, brand new curbs and concrete. The building looks brand new. It's very, very nice. Alright guys, so I've been driving about an hour minus my little pee break. So guess what time it is? It's 8 a.m. again. That's right, we are in Alabama, so Central Time. So I've lost an hour. So at this point, I've got to call Suncoast converters and let them know that I'm going to be late. The maps say I'm still 3.5 hours away. So You know, he may not be able to get me in right away. If they've got another truck they've got to put before me, it's just what it is. I'll have to deal with it. He told me that he wanted to have the truck for about 3 days, possibly. He didn't think it would actually take 3 days, but he wanted to have that leeway in case things didn't go smoothly, or, you know, the truck before me took too long to finish up, so they didn't get started right away. So the original plan, he knew, or he told me, and I understood that there was a possibility that my truck may be with him for 3 days. Now I'm hoping that's not the case, and he's hoping it's not the case. I was hoping that they'll get it all done today if I was there right on time. Now that I'm going to be late, I'm not thinking that's going to happen. But I won't know for sure until I talk to him. But no matter what, I'm going to get a hotel and stay there tonight, because this going for the last 14 days with only 2 or 3 hours of sleep every night is catching up. So I definitely want to get a good night's sleep tonight. And if it takes them 2 or 3 days, no big deal. That's why I brought the bikes and the transportation to get around when I'm down there. But I'm going to make that phone call and see how this goes. All right, guys, I had to do it. I hated to do it, but I had to do it. Finally pulled over, and I took about a 35 minute nap. Starting to swerve, and not like to get my swerve on, just starting to swerve, and that was a bad thing. So took a little nap. Now can jack myself up with some more coffee. We're ready to go again. Now that it's daylight, just look how nasty my truck is. Look at that, it's mildew from it sitting for so many months. We're definitely gonna have to fix that after we get the transmission fixed. Hey guys, looks like I woke up from my nap just in time for some sprinkles. Weather has cleared up significantly. It's a lot nicer. I don't know what happened, but you can see the traffic back up northbound going towards Montgomery. You know, it wasn't there, then all of a sudden it was there. I didn't actually see an accident, just all of a sudden traffic started backing up. All right, we're off of the interstate onto some of the nice back roads of Alabama now. It's still 4-lane divided, not grass median, but split median turn. You guys know what I mean. Now, I've been this way before, but it's been a long time, and I just don't remember exactly how to get from here to there. So, yeah, I've got my GPS going. I have since Montgomery, just couldn't remember exactly what exit to get off on. But I'm sure that Siri is going to direct me in the rest of the way. So something a little interesting, I just happened to see a sign that said I had entered red level city limits. I thought that Red Level sounded like a strange name for a town. I wonder if it's a town where, like, you have to work your way through other towns to get to this town, and then you're at Red Level. Is there like a blue level, a green level town or something? I don't know. Well, guys, I gotta try to remember on the way back. I just passed a yard that had a whole bunch of old semi trucks and it looked like a salvage yard maybe, or just an old storage lot. Looked like an old Freightliner Classic or some FLDs in there. Might be kind of cool to stop and check out on the way home. Also, town we just went through, there was a Hank Williams Jr. museum of some sort. If I've got time on the way home, that might be really cool to do too. Definitely want to do it now, especially pulling a trailer when I don't have it in reverse. Don't know where I'm going to be able to park. As you can see there, we have crossed the Florida state line. Only about 50 miles left to go until we are at Suncoast Diesel. Almost there. Lucky we're making it. So far, truck's doing good. Looks like we got some farm traffic. And coming up on the solid yellow, and I decided to wait. Obviously, that guy's impatient. And Blind Hill, not a good idea, guys. Just be safe. We'll pass when we get a moment. All right, guys, and here's our opportunity. Love driving through small towns. That was the town of Baker. All right, guys, we're here. We made it. It is almost 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Remember, I wanted to be here by 8. Yeah, so far off, not even funny. But we're here, and that's all that matters. The truck made it the whole way. You know, and looking back on it, it's hard to believe that at one point this morning, I was just about ready to give up on this. You know, when the transmission started acting up, I was ready to go home and just go back to bed. And then I second guessed myself and I said, you know what, we're gonna take a chance. Luckily, it worked out in our favor. But you know, there's that possibility we may not have gotten that lucky. We might have been stuck on the side of the road someplace, wishing I had not taken the chance. But truth is, in life sometimes, you just gotta take a chance, even if it's a little bit scary. Sometimes that's what you have to do to succeed. Hi guys, and I don't know if you noticed, but I did a couple of short clips along the way of the driving footage, and I left the radio on in the truck. I did that mostly as an experiment for YouTube to find out whether they're going to pick up on it or not. So I noticed when I did a lot of the footage at the Beaver Bar this week, I didn't like do the music over top of the music that was already there, but I did it in very short segments, and there was always a background noise. There was a motorcycle running or a band playing or somebody screaming and yelling or something going on that wasn't just the music. And again, in my quest to learn how YouTube works, I figured I'd just leave those in there, leave the music blaring on the stereo, and see if in the short clips, if it picks up on it. I think there's a certain length that it has to be before the algorithm grabs it. So I'm playing with it to notice. So by the time you're seeing this part, you've already seen that part. And if I had to lay a music track over top of that driving footage or just mute it out, you'll know that YouTube caught me. And if I didn't have to lay music over top of it and you heard the individual songs, then you'll know that my experiment was successful. Anyway, guys, let me go in here and talk to Brandon. I'm gonna get checked in. So for right now, we're going to end this video. Once I get checked in with him, I've got to go find a hotel. I did just pass a Holiday Inn Express right around the corner, so that's probably where I will stay. And I might even call my cousin. He lives down the road a little ways. Maybe we'll go out to dinner with him. But anyway, guys, I want to thank you for following along. I don't even know how long this one is. I know it ended up being longer than I intended it to be because of all the troubles we had this morning. But sometimes that's just what makes an exciting video, I guess. I don't know. You guys tell me what you think in the comments. And until the next time I see you, keep those engines running. You guys know what I did that was really stupid? When I was loading the bike this morning, I went inside Goliath, I grabbed my helmet, I grabbed my jacket, I grabbed some spare clothes I was gonna need. I had every intention of grabbing my shoes. I like to drive in my sandals. I don't like to ride my motorcycle in my sandals, but I forgot them. And the sad thing is, I remembered as I was driving away and decided, well, I'm not gonna go back and get them. I'll just pick up a pair of shoes while I'm out because I need a new pair anyways. And then we had all the trouble with the transmission, and we went back to Goliath thinking that I was gonna take the truck home and just go to bed. And then I still forgot to grab my shoes. So here I am wearing flip-flops, and I have to ride my motorcycle over to the hotel. Actually, I gotta ride it over to a Walmart or something, someplace where I can buy some cheap shoes, because I'm not, those of you who watch Bonehead Truckers will get this. Real bikers don't wear flip-flops. All right, guys, but wait, there is more. So I finally got over here to the Holiday Inn Express and got checked in, and it's literally like 1 block from where the truck is being fixed. When I was rolling the Harley off of the trailer, I heard a clunk and a pop and something moving. Took a quick glance, didn't see anything. I thought it was my plastic fender because the back of the trailer bumped it, so I thought it was just this. Nope, that, yeah. Well, then riding it over here, I could hear more clunking and rubbing and whatever. So I laid down on the ground and looked underneath. Guess what I found? My Scully air ride compressor bracket broke off. It's trying to get caught up in the wheel, in the brake rotor. That could have been a bad day at speed.